going on, everybody? So I'm here today with a kind of a two-in-one video. A few ladies requested a couple of videos, so I kind of wanted to kind of knock them out in this video. The first request was from, or suggestion, was from Fontrella Cole. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. If I didn't, I apologize. She basically wanted a monthly update of life, you know, with Tegan. And I reread the comment, and you wanted to know from both aspects as far as Toot and I. And today I'm going to just do from my perspective for this first month, only because the second request was kind of touching on, or you know, feminine issues and some things Toot may not be able to relate to, or you know, wouldn't be able to answer. So I'm going to just do this one on my own. And the second request was from Crystal Richardson, and she basically had some questions about the birthing experience. So I'm going to kind of go ahead and do this video for the both of you guys, so I hope you enjoy. And please excuse Peanut because I'm trying to make sure she still remains asleep. So anyway, this first month has been a exciting and interesting month, to say the least. Before having children, or before having a child, I was extremely afraid of giving birth. I was afraid of you know, I was really concerned as to what kind of parent I would be. Like, we all envision like what we want to be as parents, but you just really never know how you're going to be until you have your baby. So I was just afraid that I wouldn't be a good mom, and I didn't really even know if I wanted to have children prior to getting pregnant. So this has all been new territory for me. The first week and a half, my husband was with me. He was at home with me. And thank God that he was, because I don't really know if I would have made it. Some days I don't even know how I make it through anyway. And he was here, and I will say, you know, before leaving the hospital, they give you the option of taking your baby to the nursery so that you can get rest. And I didn't want to do that because, one, you know, I waited 9 months to see her, and two, I didn't want to get in the habit of really, you know, having them take her out for me, because I knew when I got home I wouldn't have that luxury, so there'd be no nursery. So I just wanted to get used to that, and I should have just allowed them to take that. I told my husband this the other day. I was like, man, I should have let them take her, because we were at the hospital for 2 days, and you know, we could have got some good rest, because when we got home it was just going to be the two of us, you know, switching off, because my family is far away, and you know, everybody has lives, so can't expect somebody to be there with you. Yeah, I have never been this exhausted in my life. Like when she was first born, because I'm exclusively breastfeeding, and so it was really difficult, especially the first week. I really was just waking up every 2 hours. It seemed like I would only sleep for like 30 minutes, and then I'm back up again. And so my husband finally was able to convince me to start pumping milk and putting it in a bottle for her, and so that I could get sleep, and so that he could help and have some daddy bonding time. And so, you know, I was really hesitant on that, because I know I read, and the lactation nurses had told me that, you know, babies can sometimes get nipple confusion. At that point, I really had to do what was best for me, because if I wouldn't let my husband help, I was not going to get any sleep. Like, I didn't want her to have any bottles or any pacifiers or anything, but I kind of let it go, because during my pregnancy, my nipples got really big, and this is a little TMI. FYI, this video is going to be really open and honest, so, you know, if you're offended by it or anything, I apologize. I'm just trying to be as honest and real as I can about my experience. So since my nipples were already really large, the pediatrician suggested, because at first I was pumping my colostrum in a bottle and feeding it to her with a dropper, which was suggested by the lactation nurses until she was able to latch on. And so her pediatrician suggested that I use a nipple shield, and it's basically a little plastic covering that goes over your nipple, and basically your nipple conforms to the shape of the shield, and it looks like almost looks like a nipple on a bottle. So since she was already on that with me, I figured, you know, her using a bottle wouldn't be that different than latching on with the nipple shield. So I'm glad I allowed him to do that. So he's been bonding with her. She loves her daddy. So this month I have learned that you will be extremely exhausted. No one really told me that. I'm not able to really get anything done. Like, I feel like I have a lot of unfinished projects going on. Like, I may get 1 or 2 rooms cleaned, but then everything else I just have to put on the back burner till the next day. Some days I don't get anything done. Sometimes I'm just able to, you know, I'm lucky if I'm able to get a shower and eat 3 times a day, let alone have my entire place cleaned up and eat and all this. So I try to do everything, but again, I am just trying to take it, you know, slow, because I am still healing, and, you know, it's just me here during the day. I was extremely excited one day when I cleaned up the entire place by myself. I was proud of myself. My husband really wanted to help me, but I just wanted to do it for myself to prove that I could do it, you know? And I paid for it because I spent the entire day cleaning up, and as soon as I laid my head down to go to sleep, somebody wanted to wake up. So I was up with her for like 3 hours. Also, I've learned that you should sleep when they sleep. However, like I said, I try to get things done. Like, I even try to, you know, have time for myself, like trying to crochet or watch videos, or just connect with my family members and things of that nature. So it's really hard to really just, you know, have time, carve out time for yourself, because you're constantly taking care of this person, this little person. So to basically sum it up, this month has been definitely a learning curve. I'm really learning, like, what works best for us. We're getting to know one another. I am really trying to learn how to really take time for myself and to get rest and to eat properly, and to really allow my husband and other people to help. Like, I'm not really good at taking you know, taking help. I like to do things on my own and try to be independent as much as I can, but I've learned that if people are offering help, you take it. My little sister will be here next week, and I'm so excited, and she's coming for her spring break to spend time with her niece, and she is so excited. Like, she was telling me that she's just going to take over, and I'm going to let her do that. I'm going to let her take over and get Tegan, and I'm really going to take time out for myself. My husband and I, we're going to take time out and, like, you know, have a date night, just the 2 of us, because we've had date nights, but, you know, with her, and it was fine. But I cannot wait to just connect with my husband alone. Now, Crystal wanted to know, she's pregnant with her first child, and she wanted to know what to expect after birth, how long did it take me to heal, and how many weeks did I wait to get out of the house before I left the house. As far as giving birth, I was extremely afraid, but I will say this, that what got me through, and this is why I thanked everybody that did pray for me, but what got me through, like, each contraction, I was just praying, because I was afraid, like, what if I had an aneurysm, or what if I had a heart attack and just died? Like, I was so afraid that everything was going to go wrong during the labor and delivery, and I just prayed with every push. Like, I've never been in the hospital in my adult life, and so I just didn't know what to expect. But when we had the scare, when we went into preterm labor at 32 weeks, I kind of got a taste of what it was going to be like. So that kind of took off the edge and the fear of what was going to happen during my stay. Yeah, you are going to have an IV put in you. It's going to be painful. I still have 2 scars. The first one was from when I went into preterm labor, and then the second one was from when I delivered. And so, yeah, it's really going to be kind of scary, because you know, this is the first time and you don't know what's going to happen. But I would just suggest that you just pray, like, or just try to find some way to relax and try not to be too anxious. And if you do have, because for me, you could only have 2 other people in the room, so I only have my husband. So whoever you have as your support persons, just make sure that they're going to be able to help keep you calm, because you're already going to be, you know, nervous and anxious. So just make sure that you pick 2 people or 1 person that you just know is just really going to keep you calm and keep you focused and help you when it's time to breathe. We learned in our parenting classes the Lamaze portion of, like, how to breathe and everything, but that went out the window. Like, every time I had a contraction, I just had to just take time out. It's like that was such a blur, because it was so painful. It just seemed like I was just in constant pain for at least like 4 hours, because the medication wasn't working. You will make it through, and you'll look back at it and be like, wow, like, I survived. Like, this was my biggest fear, and I survived, and I'm living, and I thank God. So it's truly a blessing. Just try not to be too anxious. Enjoy your pregnancy. Get all the sleep that you can right now. and try to do a lot of the things that you enjoy doing right now, because when you have the baby, you're not really going to have that much time to do that much time for yourself, let alone do a lot of the things that you want, especially just in the beginning. I hear that it's going to get better, so I'm looking forward to that. But until then, you're just basically on their schedule, and you really, you're going to have to be, your world revolves around them, especially if you're breastfeeding. So the contractions are really bad. And I cannot speak on what it feels like to have her come out, because the epidural kicked in by then, and I really wanted that because I was so afraid of just what it was going to feel like. So it just felt like a lot of pressure. When she was coming out, I did have an episiotomy, which is basically, they give you a little cut. And my cut was really small because when I was laboring, my nurses was stretching me out so that it would be easier for her to come out, so that I wouldn't have to get cut or tear. But I had a small little cut because her head wouldn't come out, and I had a few stitches. So after birth, I was numb I was still like kind of numb down there for about, I would say, a good 30 minutes. I really felt like wobbly, like because you have to get out of the bed, because they move you from your labor and delivery room. In my case, they moved me from the labor and delivery room to your regular room that you're going to stay in. And when I was getting out of the bed, it was like I was really wobbly. I had to hold on to the nurse, and it was crazy. And so for those 30 minutes or so, I didn't really feel anything because, I was still numb. But when the drugs wore off, that's when I started feeling a lot of like pain and achiness down there. And what they do is they give you these breathable panties, and you'll have these really big pads. But I had they gave me this ice pack. It's like it's really long, and it looks like a pad, but it's like dry ice. And you put it there, and basically it just numbs you there. And for me, that was really soothing. And I also was able to put this medicated foam. I forget the name of it, but it was a medicated foam that you put on top of the ice pack before you put your underwear on. Now, the first few minutes, it's going to really sting because it's really cold, but then you'll have the numbing sensation, and you'll be okay. It was really difficult getting in and out of the bed because of the pain and the pressure from your stomach, and being open there still. But after, so I was able to use the dry ice pack and the foam. You can only use that up to 4 times a day, and because, like I said, it's medicated. And then they give you what's called a sitz bath, and a sitz bath is basically a little tub that you put on top of the toilet, and you fill up a water bag. They give you this bag that connects to a tube, and it's supposed to, the warm water is supposed to cleanse you out and to soothe you. And for me, it wasn't soothing because, you're sitting down and you're already open. You're open down there, and then like sitting on the toilet, it was like it felt like I was even more open, and it really was painful, but I did it because, I had to. And they also gave me a bottle which you could fill up with warm water and just squeeze down there as well whenever you use the restroom. Now, I was extremely afraid because I remember reading things like you're supposed to pat instead of wiping after you use the restroom. And yes, please pat. Like, I was so afraid that I was going to rip my stitches or just hurt myself. So make sure you're gentle down there because it's going to hurt. They also make you have your first bowel movement before you leave the hospital, and I was afraid of that. They gave me stool softeners. You're going to need some. I picked up some. The nurse suggested that I get some. I picked up Colace, but you can pick up any stool softener that will work for you, or you may think will work for you. Yeah, that was painful because you're already open, so I was afraid of that. But I survived that. It wasn't until I got home did I experience, soreness, my entire body. It was like those 2 days at the hospital were nothing. When I got home, that's when I really had the pain. And, they try to give you pain medication when you're there, and I really didn't need it. They were having me take it, but sometimes I would take it and sometimes I wouldn't. But it wasn't until I got home did I need that. And I had prescription pain pills. Whenever I would get up, after sitting down, it was like a lot of pressure and pain. It felt like, you were just, of course something just came out of there. So, that's what it felt like all over again. And my body, my forearms were sore, my leg, because I was holding onto a bar when I was pushing because I couldn't feel there. So I had to, use things to make sure that I was pushing hard enough. And, my husband and the nurse had to hold my legs open to be able to push. I had a vaginal birth. and my legs and arms were just sore. So you may experience that, like your body just really feeling like you just did 12 rounds with like Floyd Mayweather or something. Like, it was bad. I know that a lot of older people, like my grandmother-in-law, she really, and even my sister-in-law, they were, saying like, I shouldn't get out and do things. I shouldn't try to do too much. And you really shouldn't overexert yourself. Like, you really shouldn't. But unfortunately, I had to go out like a week after I had given birth, because I had a doctor's appointment. I had to get her birth certificate. Like, there were a few things I had to do. So I was already out and about when she was 2 weeks old. So I didn't wait long at all to get out. And her pediatrician confirmed that that was okay, that basically staying in for a long time was an old wives' tale. But, you do whatever makes you feel comfortable. I know a lot of people do believe in staying at home the full 6 weeks, but the reality is you're going to have a checkup. She had a 2-week checkup, so you're going to have to get out for that. And, yeah, I was out and about. My husband and I, we grocery shopped. We went out to eat together, and we just made sure that we kept her, covered up so that she wasn't exposed to any germs and anything of that nature. And we didn't let people touch her. And, yeah, I'm still healing. My 6-week checkup is March 28th, so, which is next Friday. But, in my opinion, I still feel like I'm healing. Like, there's still some days when I get up and it still hurts. Like, there's still pressure there. My body is just, even though it's trying to slowly get back to where it was, it's still not where it was prior to that. So I am still healing. So that full 6 weeks of healing, you're going to need it. Also, another thing, I don't know if you're going to breastfeed, but what they say is true about breastfeeding. Your nipples will be raw and they will hurt. I even thought I had mastitis because one of my breasts, like, they became painfully engorged, in the beginning of the first 2 weeks after leaving the hospital. So you have to be careful with that. Make sure if you ever feel that, you need to put warm, wet cloths on your breast or get in the shower and massage them. Basically, mastitis is, where your milk duds are clogged up and you can feel like painful knots in your breast, or you can have red spotting on your breast. It's really uncomfortable. Any soreness there anywhere is just uncomfortable. So you can get in the shower and massage it. The warm water will help. And you need to put some kind of cream on your nipples. I'm not going to suggest any, because the one I have, I just feel like when they're already hurt and, sore, nothing's really going to help. For me, anyway. And another thing, I was really adamant on not wanting my husband to see her coming out, because I didn't want him seeing that. I didn't want him to maybe be turned off by that, or I didn't know if it would change our sex life or anything like that. But, because I didn't want to see it, and I didn't see it. But now looking back on it, like, we recorded, but we didn't record the, her coming out. And now looking back on it, I kind of wish we would have recorded that for my own personal, memories, and just to see her come out. But what I was going to say is, if you're married, or you're, you're with your partner, your boyfriend, and if he does want to see the baby coming out, allow him to have that opportunity to see his child coming out, because my husband was so excited about it, and he really wanted to witness that. So allow them to be able to do that, and try not to think too much on like what they may think of you afterwards, or if anything, they'll really respect the fact that you're able to to push out this beautiful baby, and they really will have a lot of respect and admiration for you. Just really give thought to what you want out of your labor and delivery. Make sure your partner knows if you want medication, if you want, the epidural, who you want notified after you're going to have the baby. Sit down and really think about a lot of these things. I would suggest I looked on Pinterest a lot and got a lot of tips about, labor and delivery, things of that nature. Those are my tidbits on my birthing experience. I hope this was helpful and insightful. Just be encouraged, and enjoy it while you can, because it gets real when they come out, but you'll love it as well. So yeah, you guys, thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos, and thank you so much for sticking it out with me, you guys. Take care, and God bless.